Good day, my dear 8th class students. I am very happy that I am getting an opportunity to teach you. This particular chapter named Triangles and Properties. This chapter plays a very important role in plane geometry and a lot of practical applications. This is one of my favorite chapters because if somebody masters the properties of a triangle, he can figure out any complicated shape, its area, perimeter, medians, altitudes, you name it. So it is so important that you know or you understand the triangle very well. Before I get into the chapter, I want to make some general comments that if you want to get the best benefit, the maximum out of my teaching, you have to have the textbook in front of you, or to do the exercises, you have to have the textbook. If you don't have the textbook, mathematics, when I teach you, it may appear very easy. But when you do the problems, you may get some doubts. So you have to have the textbook. So for that matter, for any subject, you have to have the textbook. So, please stop it. Well, before I get into the teaching of the actual chapter or the lesson, I want to give you some general comments. If you want to get the best benefit of this video presentation, you have to have the textbooks. More important in mathematics, because all the exercises will be there at the end of each lesson. Of course, for that matter, for every subject, there are some exercises, but here in mathematics, unless you do all the problems, otherwise you will not get the complete understanding of the particular chapter. So you have to have the books. So one way or other, either you buy or borrow from somebody, we do not really care. But it's important that you have the textbooks. Now we have made more than 120 videos in different subjects covering all the classes, all the way from UKG to or LKG to 10th class. So we are on the move. We are going to make lot more videos. For every day we are making at least like 3 or 4 videos. So we may pick up the speed and we may double the number of videos recording every day. Okay, anyway, with that introduction, I want to go into the actual chapter. Okay, this one is a very interesting lesson because the triangles and properties, they are so vital to understand the practical geometry. If you master a triangle, that means when I say master, you know all the properties of the triangle. Given a triangle, no matter what type of triangle it is, you should know all the properties of the triangle, area, perimeter, altitudes, medians, and all that. Okay? So it's very important. So any complicated shape you can convert into number of triangles, thereby you can find whatever you want, whether it is an area, perimeter, or whatever. So it is important that you understand the properties of the triangle. If one masters the properties of the triangle, that means he almost mastered more than 75%. Why I say 75%? The only shape that is left over in practical geometry is a circle. If you complete a circle, or if you add the circle to a triangle, that means you covered almost all of the practical geometry. So if you understand a circle and a triangle very well, then you made it. Okay. Now, we will talk about the different types of triangles. The triangles are classified into two major categories. The first is based on the sides, and the second one is based on the angles. I want to go a little bit faster on these things because you have some knowledge of this in your previous class. But because of the corona, there may be some, booze patronus, or you might have forgotten a little bit. So I will go a little bit faster, but I will cover all of it. So triangles are divided into two major categories. First is based on sides. They are based on sides. S-I-D-E-S. And then next one is based on angles. Okay? Before this I want to say triangle. Tri means three. Three. That means three antamu. English one T-H-R-E-E, three. So triangle is derived from the concept of three. Triangle. That means there are three angles. When you have three lines making three angles, then you form a triangle. A closed figure, then you form a triangle. So, a triangle based on, first of all, the sides. The sides of the triangle can be, each one may be different. Then it is called a scalene, S-C-A-L-E-N-E. It's called a scalene triangle. And then, suppose if two sides are equal, then it is called, you see here, these two sides are equal. Scalene triangle is this one. So, these three sides are different. Whereas in case the two sides of a triangle are equal, then it is called isosceles. How do you spell it? I-S-O-S-C-E-L-E-S. You can find all these spellings in your textbook. So this is an isosceles triangle. So in this case of a scalene triangle, all sides are different. One may be 3, one may be 5, one may be 7 or whatever. Whereas in the case of isosceles triangle, if two sides are equal, then the triangle is called isosceles triangle. Then you have what is called equilateral triangle. Equilateral. That means all the three sides are equal. Then it is called equilateral triangle. So, based on the sides, depending on the relation between the sides, if the three sides are different, then it's called scalene. If two sides are same, then it is called isosceles. If three sides are same, that is called equilateral triangle. This is based on, what did I say? Based on the sides. Here, we did not talk about angles at all. We only talked about sides. Sides means length of the side. Like for example, if you take a triangle here, this triangle is represented can be represented by ABC. AB is one side, BC is another side, AC is another side. So those are the three sides. Coming back, if three sides of a triangle are different, none of them are equal to anyone. So then it is called a scalene triangle. Next one is isosceles. Isosceles triangle. That means if two sides are equal, then you call it as isosceles triangle. Then if the three sides are equal, then you call it as equilateral. So in all these discussions, we are talking about only sides, nothing but sides. Only the lengths of the sides. Now we move on to the angles. Based on that, when I said when you have a triangle, when there are three sides, they have to make three angles. Okay? So, based on the magnitude of the angles, that means whether it is 30 degrees, 70 degrees, or 150 degrees, or 90 degrees, based on the angle, the triangles are classified into like this one, acute angle, right angle, RIGHT, right angle, acute, ACUTE, right you know, and then obtuse, OBTUSE. So this is obtuse angle, acute angle, angled, right angled, obtuse angle, ANGLED, ANGLED. Acute angle, that means if the angle, the value of the angle is less than 90, then it is, so if you call it as a theta for just explanation purpose, if I write theta is the angle, if this is less than 90, then it is called acute angled triangle. If it is 90 degrees, then it is called right angled triangle. And the third case, obtuse, more than 90. So in one case, it is theta is less than 90. Right angle is theta is equal to 90 degrees. 90 degrees. Obtuse is theta is greater than 90 degrees. So this is how the triangles are classified. Here, when you are talking about classification of the triangles based on angle, we did not say a single word about the sides. So when you are classifying based on the sides, you don't talk about angles. When you are classifying based on angles, you don't talk about the sides. Now, having understood what are the different types of triangles, so there are basically how many triangles here? There are 6 classifications, 6 items. One is scalene, right, isosceles, equilateral. Here acute angle, right angle, and obtuse angle. Okay, all right. You know what? How you convert, how to represent them. So, for example, I already told you this is all the angles. Here the angles are less than theta is less than 90 degrees. Each angle is less than 90 degrees. Whereas suppose if you have one angle like this, one angle is 90 degrees, this is 90 degrees, then it is called a right angle triangle. And suppose if one side is here and another side is here, and this angle is more than 90, then you call it as a obtuse angled triangle. Okay? Alright, I showed you how a scalene triangle looks like, how a isosceles triangle looks like, and also I showed you how an equilateral triangle looks like. Similarly, based on the angles, I told you acute angled, you have to put that D, acute angled triangle, right angled triangle, అర్థం మీకు D ఒకటి పెట్టాలి అక్కడ, right angled triangle, obtuse angled triangle. Now, having understood this, I will rush up some of the important properties, like here, triangles and properties. Now, first one is first relation. In any triangle, no matter what, in any triangle, sum of two sides should be greater than the third side. Now, I want to show you that, so let us say it is P, Q, R is a triangle. The P opposite to capital P, this QR, you can represent a small p. Similarly, this is Q, this is small r. Okay, that's another designation. This small, you can call it as opposite capital P. This QR can be represented by small p. Similarly, PR is represented as small q, like that. So, if you take your standard example, let us say I will take ABC. ABC as a triangle. A, B, C. In triangle, you can you can write the letters, no matter what letters you use. You can write them, suppose you are following an order, you can write them in a clockwise order or in an anti-clockwise order. Here I put the anti-clockwise. So this is A, this is B, C. Opposite to capital A, this letter, this side is called small a. Similarly here, this B, this is C. So the first rule is sum of any two sides is greater than third side. That means A. So let's take A plus B. A plus B is greater than C. Similarly, B plus C is greater than A. Or similarly, C plus A is greater than B. That means for a triangle to exist, sum of any two sides should be greater than the third side. That is the first rule. Second rule, if you take the difference between any two sides, B difference C, should be greater than the third side. Sorry, should be less than, should be less than the third side. So that means in any triangle, if you take the difference between any two sides, it should be less than the third side. Then only the triangle can exist. We can show you in the next presentation. When I do some problems, I will show you what will happen if two sides of a triangle, sum of the two sides of a triangle is not greater than the third side. What will happen? Can you construct a triangle or you cannot construct a triangle? I will tell you at that time, not right now. Let me finish all the properties, and then when we come to the examples, okay, I will show you what it is. It is a lot of fun. I tell you, it is a lot of fun. You see, the beauty of this chapter is you really see. Even in other chapters, suppose linear equations or polynomials or whatever chapter, you just write down some numbers and working and all that. But in practical geometry, you see the figures. You see the బొమ్మలు గీయడం అంటే ప్రతి పిల్లలందరికీ ఇష్టమే. చిన్నప్పటి నుండి ఏం చేస్తారు? కాకి బొమ్మ గీస్తారు, బిల్డింగ్స్ బొమ్మ గీస్తారు, కోడిగుడ్డు బొమ్మ గీస్తారు. బొమ్మలు గీయడం అంటే అందరికీ పిల్లలందరికీ ఇష్టమే. అండ్ హియర్ వాట్ ఎవర్ యు ఆర్ డూయింగ్, whatever you are solving, you can write on a piece of paper. So you enjoy so much. It's like growing a kitchen garden. You can buy eggplants or brinjals, go to market and buy it. But it is altogether a different experience. Suppose if you plant a tree, brinjal tree. Let me take it back. Science teachers will object to me. I should not say brinjal tree, brinjal plant. So, brinjal plant. And when it blossoms, when it has its flowers, and then when you see the brinjals, your happiness is so much different. I mean, so much higher than when you go to the market and buy a brinjal, a kg of brinjals. Okay. So, in other words, what I am saying is, this chapter, you enjoy so much because you actually draw, you actually solve the problem, okay? So, here what did I say? Sum of any two, first property is, sum of any two sides of a triangle is greater than third side. The difference between any two sides should be less than the third side. There are also other things that, suppose you take a triangle LMN, any triangle. I'm using different notations. Always we should not keep on using L, M, A, B, C. So sometimes in the examination, if the question is like X, Y, Z or X, P, Q, so you should not be puzzled. Okay? So I use, let's say X, P, Q. Okay, this is a triangle. Now, if you take the midpoint of one side and join from the other, on the left or the vertex, then this line is called median. This is called median. Median is a line joining the midpoint of one side of a triangle with the remaining vertex. Here, Like for example, what do you have here? H, P and Q. Which side you took? P, Q have taken, so P and Q cut it out. What is left over is X. So take the midpoint of P, Q and join to H, and that is called the median. Similarly, if you take XQ, so again X, P, Q. What else? What side you are taking? XQ. So I will take X and Q. What is left over? P. So take the midpoint of this and join to P. This is also called the median of a triangle. So those are the medians. Then similarly, the same concept you can use for the altitude. Altitude is, suppose you take, let's say ABC, or let's say KLM. You want to find the altitude. So you say the triangle is KLM. So if you take the base as LM, what is left over? Left over is K. So from K, if you drop a perpendicular, this is called the altitude. Okay? Similarly, you can have the three altitudes. All the altitudes meet at a point. I will tell you what it is called. Similarly, all the medians will meet at one point. Now, there are two other properties I will tell you. Then I will close this today's session. And tomorrow, not tomorrow, in the next class, before the next class starts, if you just brush up and go through the lesson, then it will be a lot easier. The third property is angle. This is called angle sum property, ASP, angle sum property. That means, what it means is, sum of the angle, interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So if you take a triangle, today ZLK. So this is angle Z, this is angle L, and this is angle K. These are the interior angles, because this is one side, this is another side, this is other side. The angles are inside, not outside. Suppose if I extend it line like this, then this angle is external angle. Suppose if I extend it, this is called the external angle. I am talking about only the interior angles. So the sum of all the interior angles, here angle Z plus angle L plus angle K. So here angle Z plus angle L plus angle K is equal to 180 degrees. This is true no matter whether it is a scalene triangle, isosceles triangle, equilateral triangle, acute angle triangle, right angle triangle, or obtuse angle triangle. So this is called angle sum property, and you won't believe it. Before you complete your intermediate, engineering, postgraduate, or whatever, this property you use it umpteen number of times. Perhaps it's already born in the air. You will use that so many times, just like you breathe in and breathe out air. You will use this so many times. So it's a very important property. So for any given triangle, the sum of sum of the three interior angles is equal to 180 degrees. The last one we have here in your syllabus. Next year, of course, next class, you have few more properties. The last one I have is, then let's say this is AMN. This is a triangle. Now this is the interior angle, this is interior angle. Suppose if I extend this MN, so on this one, the angle formed here is, that is called the, so ANK, let's say, ANK. So ANK is this angle. That is called the exterior angle to N. This is N is ANM, that is the interior angle, whereas ANK is the exterior angle. The property here is angle ANK. This angle ANK is equal to angle A plus angle M. So the rule is, The rule here is the external angle to a particular angle is equal to sum of the interior angles. That is the formula here. So that means this exterior angle is equal to sum of these two interior angles. That is the last property that you have is in your syllabus in this lesson. This comes from, we can prove this. We will show you how it is. Why is the exterior angle is equal to sum of the interior angles. We will prove that in the next session before we do the problems. This comes from the linear angle principle, a linear pair. These two are linear pair. So the exterior angle is equal to sum of the interior angles. So well, I have a little bit more to teach you, but for your syllabus, I think we basically covered everything, and you should be able to do the problems tomorrow or the next session. When I do these problems, it will be a piece of cake for you. You should be able to understand. So basically what I taught you, first I defined a triangle, and then how the triangles are classified based on angles, based on sides, and then based on angle. Sides is scalene, isosceles, equilateral. Based on angles is acute angle, right angle, and obtuse angle. Then I told you the property. Sum of the interior angles of sum of any two sides is greater than the third side. See, first I told you about the sides. Now I am also telling the properties about sides only. So sum of two sides should be greater than the third side. The difference between two sides should be less than the third side. Okay, those are based on the sides. Now I also told you what is a median and also what is an altitude. Then we move on to the angle property. The angle properties are the number one is the sum of interior angles in a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. The third last one in your syllabus for this class is the exterior angle is equal to sum of the interior angles. So well, that's all my friends. If you understood, if you followed what I am teaching, go through your exercise and get ready for doing the problems in the next presentation. So well, thank you very much. And once again, in mathematics or any chapter, any subject, you have to have the textbook. So get the textbook, follow the video, and send the questions when you don't understand. And we are ready here all the time, around the clock, around the year. Okay? So Srujana is there. So make use of us. We are at your call. Okay? Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. If you like the video, share it.